Hi everyone. We are going live in a couple of minutes, and we will be considering this a sound test.
Hey there, everybody. How's it going out there in the world? I found a very large cow today. It's Tucker! He is hanging out here, so this was a perfect opportunity to say hi to our big guy. My name is Lauren, and we are here at Catskill Animal Sanctuary. Just in case this is your first time joining us, we are in Saugerties, New York, and we are a farmed animal rescue. So we're located in the Hudson Valley, about 2 hours north of New York City, and we are home to about 300 rescued animals right now. Hang on one second. So we are home to about 300 rescued animals right now, and we have actually rescued over 5,000 since we got started almost 20 years ago. And that means there's lots of vehicles and things driving around, and sometimes they make a lot of noise. So that was just one of the vehicles going by in the background. So we rescue these animals from all kinds of different places, and we give them safe places to live here at the sanctuary. So today we're going to hang out with everyone's favorite giant cow. And if you have questions about Tucker, about the sanctuary, or anything else, definitely feel free to pop them in the comments there. He is kind of shaking his head a bit. Unfortunately, fly season has started. Oh no. Fly season is here, which means there's lots of little buzzing flies around his head and around different parts of his body. So he'll swing his head just to try to get them to go away. Right, buddy? Okay? Yeah, he's good. So yeah, and by the way, I am also doing a takeover on our Instagram stories today. So once this is over, you can pop over to the Instagram stories and you'll see me talking a little bit about my day, the work that we're doing. And there are two very special guests who you might know, who you'll get to see. But yeah, so it is a lovely day here in the Hudson Valley. And we're here with our boy Tucker, who, if you've ever met Tucker before, you can't forget this guy, right? He is very large, but he's also extremely sweet. Even little kids get an opportunity to meet Tucker, and a little kid will be the same size as just his head, and Tucker will just be like, "Hello," and it's really adorable. And he actually came to us himself as a little cow, and we have some really cute pictures of him when he was a calf that we can put up. Right, buddy? Remember when you were small? Do you remember that? Now you're very big. Yeah, he's a cutie. And his story goes like this. I'm gonna tell it a little bit backwards. Of how he came here first. So obviously he came to us as a little baby, and he was actually living at a petting zoo. And I mean, our baby cow is one of the cutest things in the world. Yes. Don't tell the goats that I said that. So, but they are lovely and adorable. But here's the thing. Baby animals aren't gonna stay babies, are they? So you'll have these cows and other animals at petting zoos, and they're small, but they're going to start growing up. And Tucker, like I said, is a total sweetheart, but notice how I keep looking at him, so I know where he is and where his various head and legs are. Because if he were to step on my foot, how do you think that's going to feel? I do not want that to happen, because it would be very bad for my foot. So he's someone you have to just be a little careful around, not because he's going to hurt you on purpose, but just because he's big, so you just got to be aware. But, as these animals start getting bigger, it does get more expensive to keep them, and they can, cause some problems because of their size, and they're not really going to be, no offense, buddy, because you're still very cute. They're not that same, like, baby cute, though. So petting zoos, like the one that he was at, when the cows or other animals start to get, older, they will sell the little ones. And by older, I mean they're still like less than a year old, okay? It's not like they're like old. And they'll sell them. And, they'll go to an auction, and generally where that ends up after that is they're killed. So these little babies who have just gotten like loved on, and everyone's just like, oh my god, they're so cute, and they're in all these pictures with everybody, are just practically thrown out. But how did Tucker escape that fate? Well, big guy here, he made very good friends with a mom and her daughter, and they had visited Tucker a whole bunch, and they went to go visit one day, and they didn't see him. So they asked around, where's Tucker? And that was when Tucker was going to be sent away. So his two human friends, I don't know what they did to get him. I don't know if they begged for him or whatever, but somehow they managed to get him and keep him from going away to be killed. And they brought him home. And again, he was still small then, but, you can imagine that now they're like, okay, what now? And so that's when he came to live with us. So that's why he was very young then. So he got lucky, though, that his friends, did arrive there the day that he was, planning on being sent away. Had they not shown up that day, sorry, buddy, cover your ears, that really would have been the end of poor Tucker. And that's a really common thing that happens at petting zoos as well. You'll see they always have baby animals, but next year they have new baby animals. What do you think about that? Yeah? You want to pause for a chin scratch? Where's your good spot? Can you get a good spot? He's a good big boy. Do you have any questions or anything?
We don't have any questions yet, but you guys leave them in the comments if you do have any questions, and Tucker will do his best to answer them.
Yes. Are we just all in awe of the majesty of Tucker? I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, you got the flies. I'm so sorry about the flies. I know. They're very annoying. I'm sorry. There is, though, that was kind of part 2 of Tucker's pre-sanctuary life. So there is a part 1. So like I said, I'm telling it a little bit backwards. And I'll start it off with, Tucker's a big guy, right? He is very large. And he's kind of bony, right? Like over here, he's kind of bony. He's got this hip bone kind of poking out over here, right? There's nothing wrong with him, okay? Like that doesn't indicate that he's like sick or that he's skinny or anything like that. He's totally fine. But what that shows us is the type of cow he is. So when you have kind of tall, boxy, kind of bony cows, you're looking at that's a cow in the dairy industry. But Tucker is a boy cow. So, dairy has to do with milk. Tucker, being a boy cow, was then born on a dairy farm. But being a boy cow, not going to grow up to make milk because, cows and goats and sheep and other mammals, they're all like us. When they have a baby, they make milk, baby drinks the milk, baby grows up nice and big. But in Tucker's case, he would have been taken away from his mom, even when he was maybe a day old or less than that or so. We don't know. He hasn't told us kind of his backstory too much. But so he lost his mom at a really young age. And being someone who can't grow up to make milk because he's a boy cow, he is, in terms of money, not in terms of actual value, not worth a lot. So a lot of big guys like this, or well, they're little then, these little boy cows who are born into the dairy industry are gonna end up as veal. So this big guy avoided that fate by ending up at the petting zoo, and then he avoided what would have been his end at the petting zoo by just getting really lucky and his friends finding him on the right day. So this guy has gotten really lucky in his life, and all of that was like before his first birthday, which was some time ago, because now he's like, what is he now? Is he 12?
He's going to be 12 this summer.
12 this summer. Almost 12.
According to his ear tag.
Yeah, if you saw that in some of the pictures there, when he came to us, he did have a little ear tag. But like with the baby goats, we did remove it so that it wouldn't get caught on anything or wouldn't hurt him, and that it would grow over, which I think, you have a little thing there, but it doesn't bother him, so he's okay. Right, big guy? And are you shedding too? Are my hands gross? A little bit. Ooh, questions. All right.
2 questions.
Lovely.
The first one is our most common question, which is, how much does Tucker weigh?
How much does Tucker weigh? Yes, because I'm like a normal height for, a person, and like he's a bit bigger than me. Weight-wise, he's something like 3,000 pounds. It's hard to get an exact number, but it's something around that. So that's why if he were to step on my foot, it would be a very bad time. But that's just like 3,000 pounds of big cow to love, isn't it, my dear? Isn't it, my dear? Are you checking out what's going on over there? Oh, the horses are all walking around over there, huh? Just observing. Just checking out what's going on. Cool, and what was the other question for now?
By the way, I'm going to interject and say that our horses gust of wind.
Sorry about that wind there.
Gust of dust. Tucker is mostly unfazed.
Yeah.
Because he's got those beautiful long eyelashes. Our horses
So
over in the background here.
Oh, we can see them. Cool.
They are, let me see if I can get my finger. these guys, I don't know if you could see them running through. Tucker was observing them. They just got into a new field, and boy, oh boy, they are really energized, and they have been galloping. They're quite a sight. It's hard to see on the video, but Tucker was noticing it, and he was interested.
Good boy. Checking out what's going on.
We actually have now 2 more questions because we got another one in.
Love it.
The first is, do we do anything to protect them from the flies?
Anything to protect them from the flies? Yes, very good question. Because like I said, this is the start of fly season. I know, buddy. It's gonna get, to be a lot. And hang on a second, we're just gonna move because there's a truck that's got to come through. And I'll pause for a moment. All right, that's the water truck going around to refill some waters for our friends. But yes, so the flies. So we will put on masks, especially for the horses, if they allow it. They don't always. And we do have a very, very large mask for Tucker because he's got a big head. So we will put that like physical barrier over it, over the eyes there. And you'll see those sometimes that it looks like they can't see through it. Like it looks like this solid piece of like cloth maybe across their face, but they can still see through it. So like no worries. It's kind of like if you like take the top of your shirt and you kind of stretch it up. It's like you can't really see me that well anymore, but I can see the camera and everything. I can see that Michael's walking by in the background over there, by the way. Michael's wandering. So it's kind of like that. So it's a mesh, they can still see through. It's all good. We will also kind of spray them down with some bug repellent. If they're into that, some of the horses are not huge fans of that. But then for them we can also rub them down, so we can get like cloths or these like wipes and things, and we'll just kind of rub them down all over their legs, kind of on their neck, and other places where they're going to have lots of flies. And that is a never-ending issue, is the flies. So we do just have to try our best with it. Even in their like houses, like in their barns, we'll have the best way to describe it, these little like hanging bags basically, and that'll have some powder in there that repels bugs. So when the animals walk in and out of the barn, they get that stuff like on their backs and all, so then that powder will be on them and then the flies will stay away. Yeah, it's that is the battle of the summer, is trying to keep our friends comfortable with the flies. But yeah, I know you got one right there. One right there. Oh, I'm sorry.
And then we have the question from Julie. Mm-hmm. Did Tucker interact with Jesse, and if so, does he show signs of missing him?
Did Tucker interact with Jesse? Well, let's see. At different times, I don't believe they ever like shared a fence line that I can think of. Can you think of? No. So I don't believe they really knew each other then, because Tucker, his friends for the longest time have been Benjamin and Blossom, and a few other cows who have lived in that field. Jesse and Amos, they really just wanted to be the two of them. So they weren't really interested in hanging out with other cows. And then in terms of like, yeah, if they share a fence line, then they can interact. But they've always kind of been in different parts of the sanctuary, so I don't think they really knew each other all that well. I mean, I do know that when, like, in Tucker's field, Sadie was one of the cows who lived in there. She was an old lady, and she passed away a couple of years ago. And, when it is someone who they do know, they get really upset, and they get depressed. They'll, like, stop eating sometimes, and they'll just kind of hang, they'll just kind of with their head down, just kind of, not do anything. But if we're wondering about Amos, our buddy Amos is doing pretty well. Tucker actually visited Amos the other day, not like in the same field, but over the fence. So Tucker came by and the two of them were kind of hanging out near each other for a little bit. So that was good for Amos to get some time with a possible new friend. We will have to see. You'll have to stay tuned for how that's gonna go. Right, bunny? Let's see.
Now we have one more. We have one more question that's come in
Okay.
while we were doing these. But I also want to say, Amy said it's hard to distinguish Tucker from a teddy bear, and 100%, I call him a 3,000-pound puppy dog.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's just so. Oh, is he perfect or what? Are you perfect? Yeah, you are. Such a good boy. Just a little dirty.
Sean wants to know, do cows have those patterns because of ancestral camouflage or something?
Oh, all these spots and everything here? Well, cows can actually be all sorts of different patterns. So there are, you'll see a lot of different sorts of cows. Some of them are more like a solid color. Some of them have the splotches and things. And, some of that has to do with their breed. So, of course, humans have bred different types of farmed animals to be all sorts of different ways. And sometimes that does affect their color. So that doesn't necessarily have any meaning on the wild cows, which, again, all these animals had to come from somewhere. The ancestor of the wild cow is unfortunately extinct for a couple of thousand years. So they haven't been kicking around for a while. But yeah, it's more just, in Tucker's case, a breed sort of thing than anything that has to do with adapting to any kind of situation. But that's a cool question from regular viewer Sean. I assume that was the same Sean, right? Of course it was the same Sean. Hi, Sean. We love our regular viewers. We love seeing the same names checking in. And we see, in the comments, we'll see, you all talking to each other, too, and saying hello to each other. And it's really nice to be able to see that, it's not just about helping you stay connected with the animals, but you're able to stay connected with each other, too. So, yeah. Let's see. And, one of the things I did want to talk about with Tucker has to do with something coming up on Sunday. For anyone who didn't know, if you're like me and you only realized it this morning, Sunday is Mother's Day. So, do what you need to with that, with that information.
Sorry, Lauren's mom, who's probably watching.
Oh! She's calling me out. I don't know. So, I'm sure my family's watching. We haven't gotten a joke yet.
They've said hello in the comments.
Okay, I'm disappointed there's no joke from regular viewers, Lauren's family.
I knew you forgot Mother's Day. No jokes for you.
Anyway. Tucker, can you believe this? I don't know, big guy. Anyway, before I was getting roasted by everybody, where I was going with that was to talk about some of the family relationships that we see here at the sanctuary, and I am sure that you can think of several of them. Some of them are blood relationships, like Trudy and Miracle, like Jackie and Lonnie and Loretta, who else? Oh my gosh, the sheep, Lena and Seneca. There's a lot of direct, mother and child relationships that are here. And that for Tucker is something that he didn't have and was never going to be able to have, being born as a cow on a dairy farm. So when we see our goats and the sheep and all, who are allowed to live still with their little ones as they would normally or naturally, it's so wonderful to see that bond. And unfortunately for our Tucker, he never really even got a chance to know his mom. He was taken away from her. And that was it for his family relationships. And that is really common, to have little cows be taken away from their moms. It happens big farms, small farms, far away, local. It'll happen at all of those places, because any milk that goes into a little growing cow, can't be sold for human purposes. So it's really sad, and you'll see, I've seen videos of this, of drones that are flying over dairy farms, and it's just row by row by row by row by row of these little hutches where the little girls, in that case, not the boys, but the little girl cows are kept. And there's so many of them, and each of them is a family bond that's been broken and is never going to come back for them. And it's so unfortunate because we do see that they do have really strong bonds with their mothers, whether they're like blood related or adopted. Like, for example, Sadie, who I mentioned earlier. Sadie was a cow sort of like Tucker, but not nearly as large. And she's from a dairy farm. And she, when she was younger, would have had, who knows how many of her children taken away from her. So she never got to, take care of her own children and, like, be a mom. Until, if you're familiar with Benjamin and Blossom, who are the two black cows who normally hang out with Tucker, when Sadie was introduced to them, they were little. They were like 6-ish months old, each of them. And Sadie just, like, lit up that she had never gotten to be a mom before, and now that, she was in the later years of her life, here were two babies who needed her. And she got to be their mom, and she helped raise them, and she helped them grow up. So we do see that they, like, take in other babies and adopt them, and with their babies who they do have, they take care of them. And then also the babies, when they grow up, they take care of mom too. Noelle and Christopher, of course, is a wonderful example of that. My boy Christopher, he would always be looking after. I look any excuse to bring up Christopher, right? My boy. And but he would be always looking after his mom as she got older, and he'd be making sure she was okay, that she didn't like fall down or hurt herself or anything like that. We saw that with Ashley and Pliers, two horses that had been rescued from just awful, awful situations. That Ashley was already mostly blind, went completely blind while she was here, and the two of them had no one to rely on. They were not taken care of at all. But Pliers kept an eye on his mom, and he protected her. And he made sure that mom stayed safe. And even the little things, this is one of my personal favorite stories, and then, we're still doing good on time though. This is something that I witnessed and was really adorable with the goats. So Jacqueline, she's one of the small ones, kind of white and kind of gray with little curly horns. She was the front slide of this before we got started. Her two twin daughters are Lonnie and Loretta. And they're part of the Underfoot family, so the animals who, like Tucker right now, just roam freely throughout the sanctuary. And I don't know where they are right now. I don't think they're not around. That's the thing. They could be anywhere. They're probably way out the back that way, in another part of the sanctuary. Who knows? But they were all coming back towards the barn. This whole group of goats were coming back towards the barn. And Jacqueline, she has some neurological issues. She's fine, don't worry about her. But she is a little slow. She does limp a bit. So she was in the back. And all the other goats were going up to the barn, and they had all got inside, and poor Jackie was left behind outside by all the other goats. And so what does she do? But she cries, and she, ah, ah. And I'm looking, and I see from the barn her two little daughters trot back out to their mom, and then the three of them all walk in together. I was just like, oh, it was precious. So yeah, it's just a cute story. Yes, question.
We've got some Barberry family puns coming through here, so I'll let you take a guess at some of the answers. From the other Pete, the Pete who often, Brother Pete.
Brother Pete.
We have, why don't cows understand what you say?
Why don't cows understand what you say? I have no idea.
Because it goes in one ear and out the other.
Ah!
And in that vein...
Tucker, I don't think that's how ears work, do you? I mean, you don't have udders anyway, so...
We also have from Lisa, what joke did the secret agent cow say to the other?
Joke from the secret agent cow to the other.
Are you undercover?
Undercover! Ah!
Oh, I'm sorry, Tucker didn't like my name.
Oh, buddy, it's okay. Do you not appreciate puns? Is that not your preferred form of humor? What do you prefer? Do you prefer knock-knock jokes? Oh, knock-knock jokes?
You might like knock-knock jokes.
Maybe. Let's try that next time.
We have Roxy asking how old our most handsome boy here is.
Yeah, so he is going to be 12 this summer, which makes him kind of a middle-aged cow. Our girl Sadie, who I've mentioned a couple times, she passed away at like 26 or something like that. Which is just ancient. That's so old for a cow. And so it was so lovely to have her with us for so long. And, this guy's been with us since, he was really little. So he's grown up here. So we've been able to make sure that his health is always in good shape. So this guy should be kicking around for another decade and then some. Isn't that right, big guy? Yeah? Yeah. You watching someone walk around over there? Yep. He likes to keep an eye on things.
We have a question from Nancy asking, is the bug repellent used on our cows non-toxic?
I don't know what it is exactly off the top of my head, but we wouldn't use something that would hurt the cows. The point of it is to help the cows. So yeah, I don't know. Do you know exactly what it is? I'm not sure.
One of them is, so one of the fly repellents that we use is effectively, I'm forgetting the word right now, but I want to say citronella.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
And so that's the spray that we most often are using for them. So honestly, they smell pretty good. What are we going? 2 for 2 on coughing on live streams this week? Don't worry, everyone. They're all right.
They are fine. Everything's fine.
Zeke is also fine.
Zeke is fine after his little coughing fits the other night. Oh my gosh, poor boy.
But yeah, so one of the fly sprays is citronella. I'm not sure what the powder is. We would have to check with our animal care staff and get back to you. But it is all approved for healthy animals.
Yeah.
And then we have Amy asking, is that Michael in the back? And it sure is her.
Michael!
She's been watching the whole time. And then we've got Howard in the way back.
Oh, Howard's in the
Howard's
way back?
a dust bathing lump in the back.
Oh my gosh, look at that. How cute. Howard's having a good time over there.
And you are looking at the famous rocks that Violet climbed when she was a baby. In the video, Violet climbs a rock.
Oh yeah, if you haven't looked up Violet Climbs a Rock, you need to do that. And even if you have looked at it before, it's really cute. Why don't you go do it again? Guy, you could just stomp on these rocks, huh? Little Violet. Yeah, she's out somewhere too. Who knows where little Violet is? She's gonna be with the goats wherever they are. I think they might be way over there. They're busy. They got stuff to do. Yes.
Susan says, Tucker the cow, I thought females were cows.
Yeah, so technically, that's one of those things, like, there are technical, actual terms for this is a boy, one of these, and this is a girl, one of these. So yeah, technically Tucker is a steer, because he has been neutered. If he was still intact, he would be a bull. So yeah, technically the girls are the cows, but it's kind of one of those things that in general usage, people have kind of just merged them.
And to add to that, because farmed animals in particular are named like cow, steer, bull, they're all named pretty much exclusively in relation to their reproductive status and how they're used. That's why we see so much naming differentiation in them. And there is no singular gender-neutral version of a cow, a steer, or a bull. You have the cattle collective, but there isn't a singular word that we could use in the way that we can call both male and female cats at this point in time, because they're not seen as their species. They're unfortunately seen more as their reproductive value and use on farms. And since folks know what we're talking about more often when we're talking about cows, that's why we call them a cow.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I don't know if you want to turn around super quick. There's a fan favorite Russell walking by behind you. Oh. And I know how much we love getting a view of Russell. back from exploring.
Ignoring us as usual.
Yep.
Thanks for passing through, Russell.
Bye, Russell.
Gonna go take that afternoon nap.
Yep. Afternoon naps is nice stuff, right? Huh? All right, looks like we're kind of out on time. Was there anything else from my friends in the comments?
We had one more question, a repeat of how much he weighs, which is 3,000 pounds. And then, do they come into the barn by themselves in the evening?
Well, the answer is it depends. So, like, for some of them, like the goats, they will be ready to eat. Because the thing is, we, like with the goats and everyone who lives in the main barn over there, we pair time to come in with dinner time. So, because that's a really easy way to get them inside. So, if that stuff is running late, we're going to hear about it from the goats and they're going to yell at us. So, like in that case, it's really easy to get them back in. Tucker is not so moved by food in that way. So he would have to get back to his yard, which is actually way over there right now. We kind of bounced around the animals a little bit, so he's actually pretty far from his little house right now. So we may have to gently encourage him and try to bribe him with food to get him to go back. Or at some point he may just wander his way down there again. It's still, he's got some time before bedtime, so he'll figure it out. Oh, I think he's looking at Amos right now, actually. Are you looking at Amos? Oh, are you itchy? Hi. You're a good boy. Oh, yes you are. Yeah, you'll make your way back home. Hang out with Benjamin and Blossom.
And that is it for us with questions.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for the questions, everybody. Three notes on some things. First of all, we are nominated for the Chronogrammies, which are like a local Hudson Valley area, contest of different businesses and organizations and all kinds of things. So we are up for Best Advocacy Group, Best Kid... Oh. Hi. Oh, we're itchy. Lost my train of thought. Best Advocacy Group, Best Kids Attraction, and Best Bed and Breakfast for the Homestead. So if you pop over to the Chronogrammy's website, it's the Chronogram is the magazine that does it. You can vote for us over there. Second thing is, if you would like to nominate an essential worker to possibly get a free virtual tour of the sanctuary, we are giving away 10 virtual tours for essential workers for Giving Back Tuesday, which we had the other day. So if you would like to nominate someone, and you can nominate yourself, you can go over to our Facebook page, and there is a post from yesterday that you can use to nominate someone there. Just make a comment over there. And yes, so please do that. We so appreciate the work that everyone is doing out there. And so to be able to bring a little bit of cute animal time into the day, we would like to be able to help out and provide that for folks. If you would like to schedule your own virtual tour, you can do that. We have my email, which is on there, which is lauren@casanctuary.org. So you can shoot me an email and we can get you set up for that. And I guess actually the fourth thing is, if you want to see what I'm doing for the rest of the day, again, I am doing a takeover on our Instagram right now. So you can pop over to our Instagram once this is over, and you can see what I've been doing. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there are 2 special guests. If you check out the Instagram stories, who you will see, who you may remember from the sanctuary, but you probably haven't seen for a little while. So you'll have to check it out. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for staying with us and watching. And we hope to see you again next time, or I guess for you to see us and for us to read your comments. And we are so glad that you're all making us a part of your day. We hope you're doing okay out there. We hope you're staying safe. We miss welcoming you to the sanctuary, and once it's safe to do so again, we are all going to have a good time getting back in touch with the animals. So take care of yourselves out there, everybody. Stay home, wash your hands, all that stuff. You know the drill. All right, and we will catch you Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Bye-bye, everybody. Say bye to the people.